let's go ahead and move on now to the Cincinnati Bengals, our 32nd and final team in our 7-round mock draft series. But before we get into that, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and smash that bell so you can get notified whenever Tyler and I create new content. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. So if you could help us reach that goal, that'd be very much appreciated. All right. Speaking of trying to reach goals, the Cincinnati Bengals have been knocking on a Super Bowl for a couple seasons now, and it felt like this year was the year, but they got stopped by the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. And to me, I think this team is missing like one or two pieces to really contribute, and then they're in. Jesse Bates left in free agency, so that's a big hole to fill, as well as Von Bell also left in free agency. So a couple safety spots. They filled that left tackle spot with Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah.
So to me, I look at it and it's, okay, you need some offensive line depth, you need an outside corner, and now you need a safety. And I think we cover all those in this mock draft. So Tyler, let's get into it. Who do we have the Bengals taking off here? Actually, before we say who, what do we have them doing here in the first round?
So we actually had them trading up and with the Los Angeles Chargers up to pick number 21 or 22. So quick disclaimer, software we used, they counted forfeited picks. So if the numbers are off, that's why. But we had them trading up with the Los Angeles Chargers up to pick number 22 and a lot of different routes that we thought they could go. But we felt that there was a kind of run on corners when we did this draft. And we had them trade up and go and get some people argue one of the top corners in the draft, had them going with Deontay Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. And I think that this would immediately address the need. I think he's significantly better than what would be that next tier quarterbacks with Emmanuel Forbes, Cam Smith, Keely Ringo. So they ensure a top corner that can come in day one and help replace kind of what they've lost and improve the secondary, which has probably been next to the offensive line, which they had started to address last year and actually did a really good job until injuries happened in the playoffs. But the secondary has probably been one of the low-key Achilles heels, I think, for this Cincinnati team.
Yeah, and first off, let's do the trade details really quick. So we have them moving from 29 to 22. Again, the picks might be slightly off because of the tool we used. And they included pick 29, and then the extra cost to move up was round 3, pick 93. That was all that it cost to move up those 7 spots. So I think that's really good value. You get a guy like Deontay Banks, who is a premier press man corner, in my opinion. I think his physicality at the line is top of this class. And I really, really like what he did on tape. You watch him against Ohio State. He's going up against true professional caliber wide receivers, and he is just stoning wide receivers at the line of scrimmage. So I really like this pick.
And I would just like to leave a comment, Bengals fans. Would you rather have Deontay Banks or Eli Apple, who is also a free agent? And let me confirm here.
I don't think he's coming back.
I don't believe they have re-signed him, and I would be surprised if they signed him personally.
Yeah. So with Deontay Banks at 22, that leaves 2 major holes left, and I think we fill one of them here at 61. That is Cody Mock, the interior offensive lineman from North Dakota State. I could also see maybe going safety here. I believe Sidney Brown might have been on the board at this point, the safety from Illinois who had a tremendous Senior Bowl. But I really like this Cody Mock pick. He has that nastiness that you want in the trenches that I just think he brings an edge to every rep. And one of the things I was most impressed about him was at the Senior Bowl, he started at left tackle and then took reps at every single position back to back to back to back to back, going all the way across the offensive line, just getting reps where he could. And it was so impressive to watch go from left tackle to right tackle and do everything in between.
And that's one of the things too, is I think he provides a lot of depth and versatility. They have signed obviously Orlando Brown Jr., which is the left tackle for sure. And they have also signed Cody Ford and re-signed Max Sharping as well. And I think he brings in a level of youth, depth, and versatility. As we've just seen with these Bengals offensive line, it's like when the starter gets injured, then it is an immediate drop off. And I think he can help provide that, can help fill that void. If they don't want to go offensive line here, I agree with you. I think maybe they address the secondary as well. Could also see, depending on what tight ends have been taken off the board, if they want to go tight end here. Also,
Yeah.
And so I think Sam Laporta was still here. Payne Durham was also still available at this time. So let's move on though now to their next pick. They haven't picked in this mock here for another 60 picks. So we have them finally addressing the safety position here, and I really like this pick. Brandon Joseph, safety from Notre Dame. I think this is great value here, especially considering that they lost Jesse Bates and Von Bell. I think he can come in, maybe still develop a little bit, and might have some rough patches growing up, but the potential starter from day one.
Yeah, no, I think he's definitely a day one contributor in the secondary, and I really like his tape. He is pretty rangy. Most likely will succeed in a 2 high, but that's okay because that's mostly what Cincinnati likes to run. So I really like this pick. I think it's good depth here. And yeah, so next up, about 30 picks later, picking at 165, Josh Wiley, the tight end from Cincinnati. Hayden Hurst doesn't look like he's coming back. And actually, is he back?
No, he's already re-signed with the Panthers, actually.
Yeah, okay.
So him and Von Bell are rooming together down in Carolina, in Charlotte.
So, yeah, Hayden Hurst not coming back. Joe Burrow did show a liking to that tight end position. I think Josh Wiley is the tight end that could help fill those Hayden Hurst shoes. I think he's a really solid blocker who runs good routes and has consistent hands. He's not the most elite receiver, but you're not going to get that here in the middle of the 5th round. I like what he brings to the table as just a starting tight end. This is a really deep tight end class, and because of that, the Bengals are going to get a pretty solid tight end prospect here in the 5th round with this pick.
Yeah, no, I like it. This is a good tight end class, a lot of good value here throughout. So getting him in the 160s, I think here is perfect. So moving on now, we got 2 more positions left. We addressed the defensive line finally, getting some, not finally, I guess they don't really need too much, but just adding depth. Going at 208, going with defensive lineman Cameron Young out of Mississippi State, not the golfer. And just good value here, just good depth. When going through this, guys that compete in the SEC, maybe, I live in the South, maybe I'm a little biased here, but going up against the offensive linemen here in the SEC, a lot of them make it onto the NFL. And so I think proven, and I think still some things to work on, obviously. But then at 248, going with edge rusher M.J. Anderson, Iowa State. And I like this one. More speed coming out off the edges here, very quick. Can help with Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson just to kind of, with some depth, get after the pass rusher.
Yeah, no, I like both of these picks. They both play pretty well against the run as well as get after the passer. MJ Anderson is a little bit of a bigger edge at 6'2", 270. But if you're having that rotational piece in there, I like having a bit of a bigger run stopper on the outside, just because I think, especially for a backup, you're really only going to be asking them to do one thing well. And I think MJ Anderson is a good run stuffer. So all in all, even though they only had 7 picks and traded up in the 1st round, I really like this draft for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think you coupled this with their free agent additions, and I think it really turns out well for them in the end.
Yeah, they are definitely obviously Super Bowl caliber team, and now getting Orlando Brown, making a lot of moves on the offensive line. That offense is going to be crazy. The one thing I would say, just looking back on it, I'm curious. Leave a comment on what you feel about potentially trading up in the 1st round, because I'm looking at our trade, and not that I dislike Deonte Banks, but as we mentioned, Hayden Hurst is gone. I feel like where they were at was a prime, maybe Dalton Kincaid type spot to address the tight end, and then they can address corner a little bit later, like maybe move everything down. But I think there's a lot of different ways that they can go. As you mentioned, I think they've already won or one of the winning teams in free agency, getting Orlando Brown. They have re-signed Jermaine Pratt, their linebacker, as well. And I think he was the key piece going into the free agency to re-sign and letting Jesse Bates and Von Bell walk. Not that I'm excited in Atlanta that we have Jesse Bates. I think he is good, but of the 3, I think the linebacker position was more important for them. So, because they just need to revamp that entire secondary just in general. So, but it was a good draft. I would say this would be a good draft for them.
No, yeah, I think it's fantastic, but I think that's going to wrap up the Cincinnati Bengals draft there. Again, if you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and smash that bell so you can get notified whenever Tyler and I post new content. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.